Hello and welcome to this session in which we will discuss auditing the accounts payable balance. Now, accounts payable is part of the acquisition and expenditure cycle, something that we talked about in the prior two sessions. What is the acquisition cycle, the journal entries, the process, the documents, the internal control. So if you're not familiar with the acquisition and the expenditure cycle, please view the prior two recordings so you understand how accounts payable fits in this whole process. Now, the objective of auditing accounts payable is just like any other objective, is to make sure that the balance is fairly stated and properly disclosed. Now, in this session, what I will do, I would look at key management assertions, I would look at balance related audit objectives, typical test of detailed balances, and at the end we would look at a multiple choice question. Now, from the overall perspective, accounts payable is a liability. So you are dealing with a liability. So I want you to look at the big picture first. There's a difference when you are auditing an asset versus a liability. In auditing asset, we are always concerned with overstatements. In other words, the company is claiming that they have more assets than they should, whether it's cash, receivable, inventory, so on and so forth. For liabilities, on the other hand, the concern of the auditor is not overstatement, it's understatement. They are hiding, they are not showing all their liabilities. So when you approach this account, this balance, if it's an asset, you're approaching it from a different perspective. So the rights aspect of the rights and obligation is not applicable to liabilities. You are not going to claim a liability if you don't have it. For asset, on the other hand, the auditor is concerned with the client's right and use and disposal of that asset. When you claim you have an asset, I am concerned whether that right is indeed a right. But when it's a liability, if you record a liability, I am not going to make the assumption that this liability does not exist because it's not in your best interest to do so. So for the liabilities, the auditor is concerned with the client's obligation for the payment of liabilities. Well, you are responsible for it. Are you reporting the liability? Are you showing it? Are you showing the obligation? Not if you show it, I'm going to question whether you have it or not, because no one's going to record the liability if they don't owe this liability. So if the client has no obligation to pay a liability, it should not be included with liability. I'm not concerned with that. If they have no obligation, it should not be included. But the risk is you have an obligation, but it's not included. But once it's included, I don't have to worry about its right. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the assertions related to accounts payable. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com. Hello, my name is Farhat. You are here because you are either an accounting student, a finance student, or someone who's studying for their CMA or CPA exam. Great. You are looking for some additional help, and we can help you. I strongly encourage you to visit my website, farhatlectures.com. I offer additional lectures, resources, including PowerPoint slides, multiple choice questions, in some circumstances, exercises, and true-false questions. Our material is aligned with your CPA review courses, with your CMA review courses, with your college courses. I offer a risk-free trial that you can try to find out whether my website can help you or not. If you find it helpful, you subscribe, you keep your subscription. If not, you cancel and your risk is free. If you like this recording, if you like my lectures, you would like what's on the website, give me a chance to help you with your college courses as well as professional certification. I hope to see you on the website. Starting with the first assertion, and this is usually applies to most account, valuation, allocation, and accuracy. Simply put, are the numbers correct? You have to make sure that if I'm seeing a number, is it correct? Is it valued properly, allocated, accurate, so on and so forth? So the balance related objective, accounts payable list agree with the related master file and the total is correctly added, accurate, and agrees with the general ledger, and we can tie it to the general ledger. So we're dealing with valuation, allocation, and accuracy here. Now, What we do here is detailed tie-in. What does that mean? Is we want to make sure that the detailed amount owed to suppliers are correctly added and reflected in the financial statement for total accounts payable. The objective here is the numbers are there, the numbers are correct, they are added properly in the ledger, and they are shown the total as an accounts payable proper on the financial statements. Now, how do we do this? Well, we foot the accounts payable list and agree to the total ledger. On the next slide, I will show you a sample of it. But simply put, what we do is we take for every vendor that we have, every supplier, we have their name, their balances, add them up. Okay, they add up to 5 million. Look at the general ledger for AP. Is it 5 million? Great, they agree. Agree the amount and names on the individual vendor invoices to the amount of names of the accounts payable list and the master file. Each individual, we could also look at their balance, at their individual balance. Is it proper in the ledger? So what are we looking at? We're looking at a picture like this. This is the accounts payable list. This is a list, and for the sake of simplicity, we only have 4 vendors. Here are the 4 vendors: ABC, XYZ, Delta, and Gamma. If we add them up, they add up to 6,250. Now, if I go to the general ledger of accounts payable, which is account 200, I should see the same amount, and I should see a detail of it. For example, I credited the 1,200 on March 1st, 1,200 for ABC, invoice number 001. Then I credited again for invoice 2,500 for XYZ. And notice my list of accounts payable agrees with the general ledger. Now, could I have some missing? Sure, but that's not what I'm concerned with now. I'm just telling you how to audit accuracy and valuation. Also, I have their names, their social security or their business number, the terms, their tax ID, their bank account, just the details for the client. So if I look up ABC, if I kind of think of it, you are clicking on ABC Supplies. When I click on ABC Supplies, I should see the details of invoice 001, and I should see within that invoice details about the amount 1,200. So I would look at that as well as part of my accuracy, valuation, and allocation. So you want to make sure the amount are correct, and this is what I would do. Also, another audit assertion is existence. Now, for accounts payable, it's not a big deal, in quote. Why it's not a big deal? You're going to see why. Because as we mentioned, if an accounts payable exists, I don't have to worry about whether it's legitimate or not, because no one's going to record a liability, generally speaking. I'm not going to put down that I owe a bank or I owe a vendor a certain amount of money if I don't really owe them that money. I mean, is it possible you could be doing this as a fraud for the other company? It could be, but generally speaking, we don't. That's fraud. So on the absence of a normal circumstances, existence should not be an issue. So all accounts payable included in the accounts payable actually exist. So that's not really a concern, but nevertheless, we have to look at it. Existent is ensuring that accounts payable included in the financial statements actually exist. Yes, generally speaking, no one's going to do otherwise. Why? Because unlike receivable, okay, accounts payable are not required. We don't confirm, because if an accounts payable exists, we know it exists. So what do? If we have to do this test? We vouch from accounts payable list to receiving report to vendor invoice and vendor statement. If we suspect, well, let's take a look at, did we receive something from that vendor? Did the vendor send us an invoice? Is there a vendor statement? If they do, and we have an amount there, then that's it. It exists. Also, we can confirm accounts payable if the amount is large or unusual amount. We could also confirm, but again, that's not really a concern, because the primary concern for liabilities is understatement, not overstatement. So existence is not an issue. So strong external evidence to support accounts payable is typically available. It's always available for us. So we don't have to send confirmation, nor we have to do a lot of digging to know whether an accounts payable actually exists. If we have a receiving report and a vendor statement, if somebody billed us and we have a receiving report from them, that accounts payable actually exists. The concern is, did we report all the accounts payable? The completeness is the issue when it comes to accounts payable, because you could be hiding some liabilities. So the balance related assertion is all accounts payable that exist as the balance sheet date are included in the accounts payable. This deals with completeness, and we're going to see it also deals a little bit with timing. Sometimes you might put it the next period, which is it's a transaction related. We'll talk about that later, but this is what we need to discuss here. So completeness, ensuring that no unrecorded or omitted payable, somehow you just hid it, that could lead to understatement of liabilities in the financial statement. So you're hiding it for a later time. You don't want to show it now, you want to show it later. Deals with timing. But also the main objective here for the balance is completeness. Are you reporting all your liabilities? It means if you're not reporting now, you report it later. There's a timing issue, but that's an issue we'll deal with separately. So completeness. So what we do here is we perform out of period liability test. That's one of the things that we do. So what is out of the period liability test? Or sometimes it's called search for unrecorded accounts payable. So what we do is this. We look at documentation for cash payment and basically check made after the balance sheet date. So let's assume we're looking at year one, we're auditing year one. This is the year that's being audited. So in year two, what we do is we look at a payment made early on in year two. We send a payment for $500 for a vendor. Great. So if we send a payment for $500, I want to see if this $500 payment that we paid this accounts payable, when was this account payable due? And if it was due as of December 31st, year one, it was part of the liability. So what I would do is, what would you do? What do you think I will do? Well, I have to go back and look to see is the supporting document for this $500. When did we receive the merchandise? If we received the merchandise in year one, guess what? We have a liability for year one. If we have a liability for year one, was that liability for, KLM? So the customer we paid $500 to KLM. When we look at the list of the payables, did we see KLM listed for $500 as of year one, December 31st? If the answer is yes, it means the liability was there and we paid it. That's fine. What are we looking for? We're looking for this $500 payment that should have been listed as of year one, December 31st, but when we looked at the payables, it's not there. This is what we meant by search for unrecorded payable. So we made a payment, but that payment was not listed as part of the liabilities. So we can look for that. Okay. So trace vendor invoices, trace vendor statement that shows a balance due in the accounts payable trial balance. So if the vendor is sending us a statement, well, and it belongs to year one trial balance, is this amount showing on year one trial balance? Is this showing? Also, I can send confirmation to vendor with zero balances. So you may say, why would you send it to zero balances? Well, because if it's a zero balance, it should not be there. But if there's some other amount and they're not showing me, then the vendor would say, no, they owe us this amount of money as of 12/31. So I would look for zero balances. They say we don't owe them anything, and I would send them invoices with which the client has done business in the past. And basically, I'm asking the vendor to tell me if they owe them anything. Again, what am I looking for? I'm looking for unrecorded liabilities, and that's my risk when I am auditing accounts payable, but also liabilities in general, because you are hiding those liabilities. So when I talk about accounts payable, when you're looking at other liabilities, you could use the same logic, the same the same philosophy, in a sense of auditing philosophy, if you want to call it. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. Which of the following statements regarding the verification of accounts payable balance is correct? So verification of accounts payable. A vendor statement is sufficient when the auditor questions the client's integrity. Well, is this sufficient? Is a vendor statement sufficient? I would not say a vendor statement by itself sufficient, because they can give you a vendor statement. So a vendor statement by itself is sufficient. I would not say that's the best answer. But let's see what else we have. Confirmation of accounts payable is more common than confirmation of account receivable. Is this what we do? This statement is not telling you whether confirmation of accounts payable is a good verification. They're telling you confirmation of accounts payable is more common, and it's not more common than account receivable. On the contrary, because account receivable, we're dealing with existence, it's more important. Therefore, B is out because the way it's written, it's comparing confirmation of payable to receivable, and it's incorrect. So between A and B, I can definitely take out B. A vendor statement is less reliable than a confirmation of accounts payable because in the hands of the client at the time that the auditor examine it. So now we're back to vendor statement. We have a vendor statement. What we're saying here, a vendor statement is less reliable than a confirmation of payable because it's in the hands of the client at the time the auditor examine it. I would say between A and C, I will definitely take out A. Indeed, a vendor statement is less reliable than a confirmation of accounts payable, because if I can confirm accounts payable, this source is from a third party. The vendor, the supplier, is confirm it, I'm assured. So I'm down to C now. The confirmation should be requested regardless whether control are adequate or not, and whether the vendor statement are available or not. No. Confirmation should be like not a last resort, but not common and payable. They could happen, but not common. So definitely D is out compared to C. Therefore, C is the correct answer. What should you do as a CPA exam candidate, accounting student? Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional MCQs to help you solidify this knowledge. Invest in yourself. Farhat Lectures is always here to help. And of course, stay safe.